Hello, intermediate music technology students. So, at this point in our digital learning experience, I sincerely hope that you have recorded your 7 Foley sounds and got them on your telephone in some kind of audio method, and that you have successfully figured out how to log into SoundTrap. So you should have something that looks like this. So, what is this, and what do I have done already? So this is the studio, and when you come in, you won't see this part, you'll just see this. All I did was I made a new track by clicking boop, and I hit microphone, and it came up, and it asked me a few questions like, are you using headphones? And I said, yes, because I am. And what that does is when you say that, then it turns monitoring on so that you can hear what you're doing. That way you can monitor what's happening on your microphone. Really doesn't matter one way or another because you've already got the audio clips, right? So you might add a track and import a file right here and actually pull in each one of your audio tracks. Now you say, why, Mr. Edwards, would I want to do a silly thing like that? Well, you want to have files in your database here that you can start editing and manipulating in order to create your natural disaster. So as we talked about Foley last week, one of the big things about Foley is that you need to be able to process common everyday sounds, and I call it trash. It's not really trash, but you need to manipulate it in such a way that it doesn't really happen. So what I'm going to attempt to manipulate today is thunder. And I went around my house pecking on different things, and I determined that my good old guitar case was the thing that came the closest to being, just checking, okay, to being the sound that I wanted. I just took my fist and a beat on the guitar case, and these are the 4 different instances that I came up with. I'll play them for you now. And I thought that last one right there had the best like low end punch to it. So I zoomed in using this little plus button, and then I'm going to set my playhead right there. You can see it's actually a wave file. It's got pretty good level to it for what we're doing. Set my playhead kind of in front of it, and I hit Command E on my typing keyboard. Now what that does is that splits and puts that break in there. You saw it already split. But we wanted to get that break in there so that there's clear distinction that this is the only one we want. What I'm going to do is drag that down here, and now I'm going to solo that part. So this is the only sound that I'm dealing with right now. Drop back down here, and you'll see that naturally it turns voice with computer mic enhancer on, meaning it adds reverb, it's panned to the center, and it's got about this volume. We don't want that. We want to go dry because we want to hear the exact sound without any modification at all. That's our starting point. So we want to start with a good dry signal. So I'm going to set up my cycle region by clicking on that. It matches the length of my track. And for now, that's fine because there are no delays or anything that are going to be weird. So it just plays that sound over and over again, so I can hear it rather frequently as I'm adding effects. So, how do we add effects? Well, there's this little button right here. This little button right here says add effects. So we're going to add effects. Boom, click that. If you have reverb up, this needs to be all the way down right now because this reverb is going to come first, and we by no means want the reverb effect to be the first thing that happens. Right now, the volume is a little soft on that, so I am going to bump the volume up. Let's hear it now. Hear my PlayStation running in the background. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so the first effect we need to add if we are, let's go back here and stop this for just a second. Okay. The first effect that we need to add if we are going to talk about this being a thunder sound is a filter. And as you'll remember the other day, we talked about high pass and low pass filter. So this is our high pass filter, this is our low pass filter, but here they call it cut. So we're going to have it be a cut off, so a high cut off and a low cut off. So this is like the very ends of our equalizer in Logic. If you turn the things that do the little down parabolas, here we go. If we're making thunder, you might imagine that we don't want very much high sound. So we're going to take this high cut and let's go to about 1200. And there we go. So now we've got all that low end punch. Without much high. The next thing we're going to do is maybe enhance that even more. So we're going to take our low frequency, we're going to set it, this is a parametric EQ. So this is like those middle parabolas that we can control. We're going to take and set our low frequency. This is where in the spectrum the little bump happens. This is how much of a bump, and this is how wide of a bump. So we're going to take a wide parabola in the low range and give it a little more bump. No, yeah, there we go. That's pre-distortion. So we don't want any distortion at this point. So we've got a nice low end sound there. We might even use this equalizer and give ourselves just a little bump and get rid of even more high. We really don't want that high to make a thunder sound. So now that's pretty good. So now, where could we go? There are lots of different things that we could do. Let's see. Let's try room. What do you think room might be? Well, if you said to yourself that room was reverb, you are correct. So this is kind of a knockoff reverb filter. Getting a little fuzz there. And actually, if we're going to really make this sound like thunder, I'm thinking the church is the way to go. There we go. So now we've got the church sound there. And I'm actually going to add another filter just to get rid of a little bit of the high end that's coming back on the, because we used the room reverb. Now I'm going to add a little bit of delay. Now we're getting there. So this is like the boom of the thunder, right? I actually think I want to add a little more room this time. Not necessarily the church, but maybe a hallway. Doesn't take much. Actually, you know what? I'm going to add a volume control. I'm going to put a volume right before the room. Remember, these go in order from left or right. So I'm actually going to turn the volume down just a little bit so I can get more reverb out of it. Then we'll go back to my vocal amp and turn the tone down. This is kind of like an equalizer. It's just kind of removing a little high end from the initial signal. Okay, so essentially that is my progression. Again, let's look at that. That's a filter to an equalizer to even more equalizer. We just want to isolate those specific frequencies. There's 3 different ways to do it. Then we had a little reverb. Again, filter out some of the high frequencies that come with that. A little delay, that's your echo effect. I turned the volume back down. Then we added a little more reverb. So that was one way to go about making a basic thump on my guitar turn out to be the effect of thunder. Now, is it exactly right? No. I understand it's not going to be exactly right. We don't get them exactly right when we do them in Logic either. But the thing is, it's really solid. And we can put this in a song in the end and have this nice thundering effect. Now remember, let's go back to a nice dry microphone channel. This was our starting sound, right? That's our starting sound. And then we quote unquote trashed it to this. Pretty good, I think. So it doesn't have to be the perfect starting sound to get you there. You can get there, like without much difficulty. You can get there. So I really want you to take your time on these. The first part of this project is just kind of to get the natural disaster itself to sound right. Like, you really just want the natural disaster to sound good as a unit. So you're looking for like 45 seconds of things that lead to a natural disaster. So if I were to have started this as a thunderstorm, like I would have started with a nice gentle rain and then gotten to the point where I did thunder. If I was at home and I'd wanted that like lightning burst at the beginning, my wife gave me this idea and I would totally go with this, like some tinfoil. Pop a sheet of tinfoil right carefully in front of your microphone. Totally works. So again, make sure you set up a microphone track. That's what's going to allow you to import audio. If you don't use the import button, you can actually just drag and drop it. Hopefully your phone made a file that this is compatible with, which it seemed like most of the ones I saw did. They were pretty standard audio files one way or another. So I hope you have fun. This should be fun. If you have questions, make sure that I'm a collaborator on this. And if you followed the instructions for how to set up your file and clicked on the link I gave you, then boom, here's your collaborator function. Open your collaborator function. You should see me listed as it says you are here. It'll say you are here, but it should also have my name next to it. And you can actually leave me chats here. And I will be able to, when it emails me and tells me, or when I log onto my computer, it tells me I have things, and I will be able to hop in and answer questions, and potentially I can make some changes to your project, and you can there'll be a little button that pops up right here the next time you log in that says sync. After I save the project, you hit sync and it'll actually pull my stuff over. So if I do something, I'll probably like duplicate your track and then maybe change some settings and leave you an option, and I'll call the track something like check this out and compare, or something like that. And that way you know that you can like drag your audio down and check yours versus mine. Let's have fun with this. This should be a cool thing. Get in there, play with the effects. Remember, all the effects are right here. See what wild things. You may not know what they do. Get in, experiment, and hey, if you really want to know the technical details, either ask me, or I think I can pretty much describe what all of these do for you, or if you don't want to ask me, YouTube it. Okay, guys, have a good one.